and then I was looking up at the people who were, the vice president or my boss, managers, and they were miserable. Like, they're still working until 10 at night, and they have kids at home. And I'm just like, is this really what I want for my life? And the whole time, I'm in the back of my mind, like, dreaming about living abroad. And
what's up, people? Welcome back to People That Travel, where I interview nomads or anyone that is sick of their mundane life, where they just want to move on, explore the world, and here we show you that it's possible. You don't need tons of money. You don't need to know anyone from another country or the country that you're interested in going to. You just need to take action. Today I have Dana Drahos, an American traveler, a plant-based nutritionist specialized in women health, and most importantly, the host of the podcast Creators in Saigon. And today, of course, we're in Ho Chi Minh, Saigon. Welcome to the podcast, Dana.
thank you so much, Christian. I'm so excited.
Yeah, same. I've been wanting to interview you for quite a while, but obviously because of the situation and the COVID stuff, it hasn't been as easy.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to hear everything you have to say, because you yourself have been in Vietnam for over 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And you create content, you do stuff on the internet, you do English teaching. So you do a lot of things, and you're very similar to the way I am, that whatever you see that you want to try, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really curious to learn from you. Can you please give us an introduction of yourself? Where are you from, and how old are you?
Yep, I'm from New Jersey in the USA. Grew up there my whole life, and I'm 28 right now. And yeah, I've been in Saigon for about 3 years. Came here just to teach English and had no other plans other than that. And then it just turned into this whole other life, and it's amazing.
Right, cool. Okay, so when did traveling start for you? At what age did you travel for the first time?
Yeah, so when I was, I believe, 15 or 16, actually, I took a trip with my school to Greece.
Okay.
It was like a Greek mythology class that I was in, and we took a trip to Greece, and yeah, that was the first time that I flew out of the country.
You also mentioned that you went to Australia during like a...
University. Yeah, I studied abroad as a junior for 1 semester to Australia Gold Coast.
Right.
And then that was my first time living for an extended period of time abroad, where I really got to get to know local people, get to know the culture. So that just opened up my eyes so much.
And you went for 6 months. You went on a student visa, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you work out there?
Nope. I don't think I was allowed to work on a student visa, and didn't really need to or have time to anyway.
Right. Just enjoy your time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went back to the States. You finished your degree. What did you graduate in?
Communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you did the normal thing, which is to find a job.
Yep. Yeah. So growing up in New Jersey, the pretty typical thing to do is to go work in New York City. I didn't even want to do that. I grew up hating New York City.
Right.
I was from like a rural kind of farm town, suburban part of New Jersey. And every time I went into the city, I was like, oh, this sucks. There's so many people. It's loud. It's dirty. I did not like it. I had only ever been to the really touristy parts, though, so I thought that was all that New York City was.
Right.
And I tried getting jobs. I applied for jobs in, like, D.C. or Austin, Texas, but I just wasn't getting any jobs, and the only place I could get a job was New York. So I was like, okay, I guess moving to New York. And it's funny how reluctant I was when so many other people would like die to be in New York. Like, I feel like everyone around the world is like, oh, New York, the dream. And I was like, I have to go to New York. But once I was there and I was introduced to the other parts of the city that are less touristy and that are just beautiful, and I just fell in love with the city.
Okay.
And so I was there for 2.5 years at a pharmaceutical advertising agency job, which was a very like work hard, play hard type of culture. You're up until 1 a.m. working, and then you go out and party with everyone. And it was really fun at first. It felt like college part 2. So it's like, ooh, cool. Like, we're working hard and we're taking Adderall to like keep working, and then we're going out and partying and like doing all that stuff. But after 2 years, I was like, is this like really where I want my life? Is this it? Like,
and then 50 years.
Yeah, and then I was looking up at the people who were, the vice president or my boss, managers, and they were miserable. Like, they're still working until 10 at night, and they have kids at home. And I'm just like, is this really what I want for my life? And the whole time, I'm in the back of my mind, like, dreaming about living abroad and, you know, still traveling anytime I can on my vacation. But finally, I had visited my friend who was living in Cape Town, South Africa. She still lives there. And she had said, like, if I can do it, you can do it. And that was the one sentence that I needed to hear. I was like, yeah, if she can do it, I can do it. Like, let me just quit my job and go.
What was keeping you away from doing that? Was it pressure from your family? Was it obviously the job, or all the time you've invested in it? Yeah,
I would say all of those things. I think when I would talk to my parents about wanting to live abroad in the beginning, they were definitely pretty uncomfortable about it. And then also the fact of student loans in the U.S., I was still paying off my debt, and my parents wanted me to pay that off before I go travel, which is smart. Like, I agree. Like, I wanted to do that as well and not worry about it. So it was kind of that combination of, okay, let me stay here, make the money I can make to pay off this debt, and then also sort of gaining my parents' trust through the fact that I moved to New York City, which is a really hard city to live in, and I've survived. Like, I made it, and I had traveled on my own to many places before, so it was kind of like, guys, I can do this. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, just society kind of getting to me where it's like, oh, you should be going up the career ladder, and if I talk about it to people at work, they're like, oh, but you're giving up so much money. Like, you could make so much money if you just stay here a few more years and, like, become VP level and stuff. And so that was kind of getting in my head, and I'm like, yeah. And then a little bit feeling like I'm wasting my university degree that my parents paid so much money for to come teach English. Felt a little bit, am I wasting all that money?
Of course. No, there's no one around you that is doing it, so you also doubt it. And obviously, you want to do what everyone around you is doing, so it's naturally that you are guided through that path. And so your friend from South Africa said, do it. If I can do it, you can do it. How long did it take you from when she said that to actually take action and start leaving? And how did you find the first country that you went to?
Yeah, it was immediate. It was immediate. Like, I was on the plane ride home, and I was just crying on the plane ride home because I'm like, I don't want to go back to America. I don't want to go back to my job. And I was already scheming and plotting, like, okay, right when I get home, I'm going to start researching about getting a TEFL course. I signed up online right away for a course and started researching right away different countries to go to. And I knew one girl who was teaching in, where was it? I think Korea. So I talked to her a little bit and just started doing my research, and Vietnam kept coming up to the top of the list.
Right, as an English teacher.
Yeah, as an English teacher. And then I found the Ninja Teacher YouTube channel, and I was just binging, like, all the content about Vietnam, like, following other YouTubers here, watching, like, Anthony Bourdain on Netflix, eating here, and just, like, soaking it all in, and I just was obsessed.
Yeah. Okay, and then Vietnam was it. Yeah, because I heard the podcast of you with Ninja Teacher. And so he was the one that helped you come out here and become an English teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what is the process to become an English teacher here? What did he help you out with? What certificates or diplomas did you have to do?
Yeah, oh gosh, let's see if I can even remember. I mean, here in Vietnam, you definitely need a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
First of all, it's hard to say. I feel like the laws are changing so rapidly even as we're speaking, but
No.
I mean, at that time, you could have a bachelor's in anything. It didn't matter as long as you had a degree. And then you do 4 weeks, 1 month of this TEFL course.
Here in Vietnam?
Here, yeah, okay. I did it here. The thing I did with Ninja Teacher, it was like, you pay for the flight over, but then included is the course and your stay, like your housing. So you stay in a room, and you pay for your food and stuff. But they also give you kind of a first tour around the city to kind of ease you into it, and just the fact that you're there with multiple other people who are all going through the same thing at the same time. So that was a nice sort of comfortable way to come into it.
That's a very smart way of doing it.
Yeah, because I didn't know anyone here or anything about Vietnam besides what I saw in the videos.
Right.
So yeah, it was a 4-week course, and then they also help you find an actual job. They have contacts. They can refer you to certain schools. And so they referred me to a school. I applied, interviewed, got the job.
Great.
And, yeah.
And is that the same school that you're working for now?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So you're still working for them.
Yeah.
Cool. Because I've heard as well that you have to be very careful with the school you sign a contract with, because sometimes they do, they make you work more than you should, or they don't pay you right, or...
Yeah, and that it definitely still happens. I mean, even with mine, it feels like they ask for more than what is really in my job description.
Right, exactly.
And I guess I'm just so grateful to even be here and to even be able to live this lifestyle that I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. I'll do whatever it takes just to continue being here.
Yeah, yeah. And how's the job? Do you like teaching? Who do you teach?
So I teach adults, which I'm very grateful for. That was like a huge pleasant surprise for me, because I had zero experience with kids, even in the U.S. I never did babysitting. I never didn't have any experience teaching, and I don't really like kids that much. So, or I'm just uncomfortable around them, I guess, or I don't have the energy.
It's a lot of patience. You need to have.
Yeah. So I was surprised and happy to find that there are plenty of adult schools that you can teach at. It's like an English center, not a school.
Okay.
So I teach university students or young professionals, or even retired people who it seems like they're doing it just as a hobby, or to keep their mind, going.
So it's more just speaking?
They have a very specific method that we follow, and there is levels you go through.
Right.
And I think a lot of them are trying to get the IELTS certificate. So there is a method behind it, but also conversational. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And can I ask you, how much would they pay you?
Yeah. For the halftime is $22 million I get after taxes per month.
Okay. And how many hours do you have to work?
15 per week.
15 per week. Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
So that ends up being about how much per hour?
Oh, I never actually calculated it. Maybe 18,
yes,
19, 20.
Something like that.
Yeah.
18 to $20 an hour.
It's one of the, as far as I know, it's one of the lower paying schools. Out of, if I were to be at an international school, they pay a lot higher. Or even other English centers teaching children, it seems like they pay higher.
Right. But then there's more preparation involved.
Yeah, more preparation. I was happy to just be teaching adults, and that is just such a huge factor for me, because I care more about my energy and preserving my energy, because I need that energy to do the other things that I really want to do.
Of course, yeah.
So if I'm spending my energy teaching kids, if that's going to drain me, even if I'm making more money, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, health over everything.
Yeah.
And like you say, teaching English is just a stepping stone for you to be able to work on what you're doing right now. Great. Okay, cool. And so let's talk about when you arrived to Vietnam. How did you feel? How did you settle into Vietnam? Was it finding accommodation?
Yeah, so the first day I was just in my bed crying the whole day, because I was too scared to go outside, and just seeing all the motorbikes, I was like, I don't know how to cross the street. I don't know where anything is. And I was very confused about where I can eat food, because a lot of the street stall kind of places, they almost kind of look like it's someone's house, or someone's kitchen or living room with some chairs put out, and I'm like, is this a restaurant or someone's house? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I was so
a lot of Vietnamese
uncomfortable.
houses are like that. And I hear that's their main goal, is to have their own accommodation on the top and their business at the bottom.
Exactly.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you mean. If you come here for the first time, you're not 100% sure what the hell that is. And sometimes they're having a funeral there too.
Yeah. Exactly. So
that's so funny.
Yeah, and I think I got here maybe a day earlier than a lot of other people in the program did.
Okay.
So I was alone and just very confused. So that was not a good day. But then after people started coming and I started meeting other people, and they took us on that tour, it just all became a bit more comfortable. It still took me about a week to actually cross a street with all the motorbikes coming.
Of course.
And it took me probably 2 weeks to get comfortable with the idea of getting on a motorbike, getting on a grab bike. So it was, slow, but I was just also so excited. I was just like, oh my God.
It's very exciting.
I feel like it was actually, I felt this wave of sort of comfort wash over me, where I finally felt like I fit in somewhere, or I just felt comfortable in a way that I hadn't in New York or in America.
Right. Yes. I had the same feeling the first time I came here.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a little bit of free.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess it has to do a lot as well with transportation. Just the fact that you can just get any scooter to hop on.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seems a lot more simple.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And Vietnam is a lot like that everywhere in general.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is so easy. The transaction of renting an apartment or renting a scooter
Yep.
or buying something on the street, even though they might not speak the same language,
Mm-hmm.
I do feel it's very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're happy here. Your life here is great.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think the most important is being surrounded by like-minded people who have a similar idea of, I don't want the typical life at home, or didn't feel like I fit in at home, and coming here and just meeting other like-minded people who are into personal growth and like health and fitness. And not that those people don't exist in the US, but I guess I just wasn't finding them, or maybe I wasn't ready to find them at that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. Okay, and are you still living in the same place from when you arrived?
No. Oh my gosh. The first place I stayed in was like a dump. I mean, I found it on Craigslist.
Oh my, there's Craigslist in
Yeah.
Vietnam?
Yeah,
Oh
I don't
my
even
God.
know like how I found that or why I would go on
That's crazy.
Craigslist, but I just went for like the cheapest thing, because that's what I thought I had to do. I wasn't even aware that there were like these super nice luxury Western style places
Right,
here.
yeah. You thought
I didn't
District
even
1 and
know.
that's it.
I didn't even know Tao Dien was a thing. I just like my only experience. The program that I did, we were in Govap, and so that's what I thought all of Ho Chi Minh City was
Where
for
is
a long
that?
time. It's near District 12,
Oh,
kind of
okay.
near the airport.
Okay.
So it's very like, I mean, there's no high-rise buildings. It's very just a local Vietnamese district. And so I was kind of like, all right, I guess this is how it is. Like, whatever, the cockroaches are my friends now.
Yeah.
Like, that was my place. And yeah, so it was maybe like 5 million plate, like $200 something a month.
Oh, okay, 5 million a month, which is like $200 a month.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And so I saved a lot of money, but it was kind of just, it wasn't a comfortable environment to be
Right.
in.
And when you left the States to travel, did you pay off already your student loan, or you still have some debt? You paid it all off.
Yeah,
Wow,
I didn't
great.
have a lot. I'm very lucky that my parents helped me out a
Oh,
lot.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. How much money did you come to Vietnam with? How much did you come with saved?
Probably like 5,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good amount.
Mhm.
That's great. And how long did it take you till you started working as an English teacher?
I would say 2 months. Because, yeah, we did the month-long thing, the tussle course. And then I think I did another month of, or I did 2 weeks of traveling, and then 2 weeks of applying and going on interviews and things like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and then throughout the process of that, then you started working on your side stuff. So tell me a little bit about that. What are you doing on the side besides teaching?
Yeah, so it started out with, I quickly realized that teaching is not for me. I was doing a full-time job at that time, and it was just like really exhausting, even though it was
Oh, you did it full time.
yeah,
Wow.
and even though it was adults, like it still was 6 hours of like back-to-back hour-long classes, and it just was
Yeah.
really draining for me. And I also was, this is not true for all English teachers, but I was finding myself feeling very bored because I didn't feel like I was learning anything new. I didn't feel like I was growing as a person.
You were just there for the paycheck. There was no skills to
Yeah,
be learned.
yeah. It was kind of like, okay, I can't really like move up in this, or I know how to speak English, so I'm not like learning anything
Yeah.
from this. And that's totally my personal perspective. I've gotten in trouble before for like saying that and making it sound like it applies for all English teachers. I realize that some English teachers are like really passionate about
Yeah,
it, and
they love it.
they like put a lot of effort in to find new creative ways to teach different things. It just was not my thing. I'm like, I don't really care about this.
That's fair.
I like talking to people, and I like learning about the culture, but I hate the having to like correct someone's grammar, or the pressure of like I don't know, like helping someone with their pronunciation. It's like, I just want to talk.
It's a lot of repeating.
Yes.
I get it. Yeah, I used to teach English. It can be rewarding, though, if you see someone grow.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, it's not something that when you left from work, you're like, oh, okay, I learned this today. I'm getting better at this, so it feels good.
Yeah.
I exactly know what you mean.
Yeah. So at that point, it was like, okay, well, I don't like this, but I still want to live abroad. I still like being here, so I need to figure something else out. And started just researching different ways to make money online, and came across virtual assistant work and found this program that teaches you how to be a VA, and
Oh, cool.
started getting into that. And then I always kind of forget the timeline, whether I started the podcast first or if I started podcast producing for clients first. But either way, at some point, I also was having the idea of, I'm meeting a lot of interesting people here in Saigon, a lot of like creative people making content, or entrepreneurs like starting cool new businesses, locals and expats. And from what I could see, there was no podcast here really at that time. And I was wanting to do something to sort of give back to Vietnam in a way, because I just felt very grateful that like I could be here and have this life. And I wanted to showcase the amazing people that are here. So started Creators in Saigon. That took like a lot of months, because learning how to do all the production and editing and like just the whole process of it, and the mental part as well of getting over my own ego and like fear of, you know, humiliation and what people think and all of that. So it took a long time to finally actually do it.
I respect you. It's not easy. I know exactly what you mean. I think a lot of people want to do it, but it holds people back because of what you say, just judgment of the people around you. Because at the beginning, your audience is going to be your family and friends and the people around you. So that's what you're most concerned by. But then at the end of the day, those are the last people that stay listening to your stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually people that you have no idea who's listening.
Yep. Exactly.
So I respect you a lot for that. I know how much it takes.
Yeah.
And so you started launching your podcast, and you were helping other people.
Yes. So, yeah, as I was going along this virtual assistant journey, it was kind of like, okay, what skill am I going to offer to other business owners? And I was like, okay, well, I just built up all these skills in podcasting, so why don't I just offer that as my skills? And so I realized that there are a lot of business owners who have podcasts as part of their sort of content marketing and lead generation tool. So, and as you know, like producing this kind of content takes a lot of work. And so these people, their focus is not the podcast, it's their business. These business owners like need help with taking that whole load of work off their plate. So I would just do that for them. They send me the files, and I do the editing and show notes and promotion, marketing, like Instagram, all that stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And how did you find clients for that?
Mostly through networking. Like I posted in a few Facebook groups, or just asked around friends. Like I had met some people in the virtual assistant program that I did, and I was like, hey, this is the skills that I want to offer. These are the type of clients I'm looking for. Does anyone know anyone? And one person that I knew, she's like, oh yeah, I have this friend from high school who sounds like a good fit, and I'm still working with her to this day.
Wow,
so
that's great.
That was good. And then another one, he actually went to the same university as me, but like 10 years apart, and he found me on LinkedIn. He said that he just searched in LinkedIn podcast producer, and I came up because we have a shared like school, university, and so then he messaged me, and I'm still working with him to this day.
So do you dabble a lot on LinkedIn?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
That was like purely luck. I never check my LinkedIn, and randomly I got a feeling of like, I haven't looked at my LinkedIn in a while. I should see what's going on there.
Oh, right.
And that day I had a message from him.
That's interesting.
And I was like, whoa.
And can I ask you, how do you charge these people? Do you charge these people by hourly? Because obviously at the beginning you're like, okay, I'll do this, but how do you come up with the figure?
Oh, it's so hard. It's still so hard.
It's trial and error kind of thing.
Oh my God, yeah. Like there were so many times where I didn't have the confidence to charge what I should have charged, and end up, feeling resentful and just like
hating the client because you're doing more work
like
than
doing
you should.
so much work for so little. And I was like, oh my God, why did I agree to this? And then it kind of just became like, okay, the first time I charged like $50 for full podcast production, which is insane.
Oh my God,
like,
how are you?
That was like 8 hours of work, 8 to 10 hours for $50 total. And I did that for a long time.
Wow.
And then
Good for you.
And then with the next client, I had a little bit more confidence, so I charged a little bit more, but it was still really, really low. And then after that, I had a little bit more confidence. So it just like, with each new client, I just increased the price until I was like, okay, that's like fair.
Yeah, I feel you. I know I've done that myself. I've done that myself when it comes to doing videos for companies. I'm just like, I'll do whatever. I'll do it for free. You know? That's how I started. I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
But it's good because, yes, it feels like you're getting cheated a little bit, but what you learn, it's insane. And then the confidence, it comes with confidence because, you can charge $5,000 up front. But then if you deliver something that's not good, that fucks with your self-esteem, your confidence. It's way better to charge less and give more. Because then you feel, I feel like a professional now.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Cool, that's great. And then that's when you had also the confidence to be able to run your own podcast.
Yeah. Actually, how it started was when I was talking with these university students that I was teaching English. I would ask them, so what's your major? And they would say, finance, and they're like really unhappy about it. And I'm like, oh, why are you doing finance? Oh, because my parents want me to. And I would ask them, what are your hobbies? And just say, literally they'll say sleeping. Like, sleeping is not a hobby.
For here in Vietnam it is.
It is, yeah. And so I know that I was coming in with my like Western mindset, and we are very privileged that we can even have hobbies. You know, I don't have to spend my free time learning English, which is like huge, my free time and my money. But still, I guess I wanted to inspire people to see another way, because I was meeting plenty of other Vietnamese who did have this mindset of, no, I don't want to work in finance just because my parents tell me to. I want to be a yoga instructor, or like, I want to have hobbies. I like painting. I like singing, all these things. And so I just wanted to showcase that. And I guess I was just interested to hear people's stories and understand the culture, and how people came here to where they are.
Okay. And if you were to say, for the people that are listening and they want to check out your podcast, what is your favorite podcast of all? Is there like one podcast? Because I know obviously it's hard to say, but one that stands out.
Picking your favorite child.
Yeah. One that stands out that people can go and check out.
Yeah. I think the one that was the most impactful is called, I believe it's called Mental Health and Body Image Standards in Vietnam, something like that, with our guest Anne. So she's a local Vietnamese who very bravely spoke about her experience with body image issues, because there's that culture in Vietnam of, they're very blunt about your weight, and they'll just tell you to your face, like, you're fat. Yeah. And she had an eating disorder. She ended up in the hospital. No. So it got pretty serious. And then she also had a lot of bullying. She experienced bullying in middle school, and not only just from kids, but from the teacher as well, like saying really mean, screwed up things to her. So she very bravely like opened up on the podcast to talk about all that stuff, and I think it really resonated with a lot of Vietnamese, especially who had similar experiences and were feeling the same way. And in Vietnam, it's not as popular to openly talk about mental health issues. There's a very like different stigma attached with it. So I think it was really powerful to openly talk about that stuff and sort of give people permission to talk about it as well.
Right, that's interesting. From what I've seen with the Vietnamese culture, the parents treat the kids, they're very strict with them, not as nice, and there's not a lot of affection going on between them. So the communication between child and parent in Vietnam is very dissociated. And I've heard a lot about people like suicidal thoughts. Here it's actually very common. People dealing with that and not being happy with it all coming down because they're unhappy at home. So that's very interesting. I'm going to listen to that. I would love to understand a lot better, because as you say, I think the Vietnamese culture struggles a lot with that, and they're not too open about it as they are in the States or Western countries. And it wasn't as common either maybe 15 years ago. I think now it's starting to be a lot more common, and people are opening up, and also thanks to the internet.
Yep,
It's
definitely
easier to access.
Yeah.
And your podcast, so how many episodes have you guys done?
I think we have 37
37.
now.
Great.
Yeah.
And what opportunities have come about from your podcast? A lot of people want to know, maybe, do you monetize your podcast? Do you make any money from it? Or what opportunities have come from it? Because I'm very open. I think this is interview 62 or 61. I haven't made any money from it, but the opportunities and the people that I've met and the friends that I've made has been amazing.
Exactly. There's so much value way beyond money.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was never started with the idea of I'm going to make money. It was purely just like, this is a hobby. I'm interested in doing this. This is for fun. And it pretty much still is that way today. We did one kind of sponsorship with a local, they make masks,
Cool.
They're called Masked.
Yeah.
And we have tried to work with other companies, but we find that they just ghost us a lot. Like, it's like we sit down, we have a meeting with them, it all seems like, cool, this is going to happen, and then we don't hear from them ever again. And it's like, what?
And how do you find these? Because I haven't really tried to find sponsors for my podcast yet, but I know something I should probably do if I want to continue doing this long term. How do you go about finding someone to sponsor your podcast?
So the one we had, they reached out to us, actually.
Cool.
So that was lucky.
Yeah.
They reached out to us. So that was the only time. I think if I were to actively start doing that, I would just probably think about what are my values, what are my values, and then also what is the audience interested in? Like, what do they need? And then research companies that are offering that.
Right, something that can benefit your audience.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
But yeah, the opportunities, I mean, I did a workshop series about how to launch your own podcast here in Vietnam, like last February. So that, I mean, I was able to monetize. So it's not like directly monetization from the podcast, but just the fact that I had a podcast and I had all this experience with other clients gave me the credibility to be able to charge money to help other people do that.
That's great.
And even just with guests, like if they have some kind of product, I'll get a free sample. Like someone was doing like a face serum thing, so I got some free samples. Or another girl, she does haircuts, like a haircut. So it's just like little perks like that. And then plus just friends, like you said, like some of my greatest friends now came from the podcast.
That's great. Cool. So how long have you been plant-based?
Probably about 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Before coming to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched one of those documentaries. I think it was called Proteinaholic, and it was talking about the like unnecessary obsession with animal protein that we have in the West, or I guess everywhere. And from at that moment, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go vegetarian, and started cutting out red meat and chicken and things like that. But I was still holding on to fish and eggs and cheese and things like that. I was like, no, I could never give up cheese. Oh my gosh. And it was a very, very slow process. Even when I said I'm giving up chicken, like I still had chicken sometimes. So it was very slow process, and it's only been until very recently, like 3 weeks ago. I think this is my 3rd week fully vegan.
Wow, vegan, straight up vegan. Well, it's good because actually here in Vietnam, the vegan scene is pretty great.
Yeah.
There's tons of vegan restaurants.
Yeah, it's really easy to be vegan here.
Yeah. What's your favorite vegan restaurant here in Vietnam, in Saigon?
I love to order from House of Chai.
House of Chai.
They have awesome dishes. Yeah.
I haven't tried it, but it's been named before for sure. Okay, cool. And then, so you started doing this. Why? Why did you start going plant-based? Is there a main reason? Is it because you didn't feel comfortable with your health?
At that time, I had an unhealthy mindset about being healthy. Like, it was more like, I just want to be skinny.
Right.
I just want to look good. And so even when I went vegetarian, it was in a very unhealthy way where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna remove meat and just have salad or just have like some zucchini, which is like 0 calorie. Like I was just obsessed with the calories and just be skinny. That was my only mindset. And luckily I've sort of worked on my own like mental health and moved out of that space. And now even going through my health certification, nutritionist certification, it's just undeniable. Like the research is out there that this like plant-based is the healthiest that you can do for your body and for the animals and for the planet. And I think back then too, I used to be like, oh, people who are activists, like environmentalists and save the animals kind of people, I used to be like, oh, good for them that they're so into that. Like, I looked at it more as like, that's their hobby. Like, oh, they're an environmentalist, that's their hobby. My hobby is dancing. But like, no, it's not a hobby. It's like a need that like everyone needs to be aware of and involved in because we only get one planet. So yeah, I could go on about it for days.
Yeah, no, that's great. And because I know that a lot of the stuff that you do for women's health is about the menstrual cycle, right?
Yeah.
And you also realize that your diet has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
So then I'm guessing that you dived in way more into the health than just being a vegan and then, okay, I'm just going to cut out the meat and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And you started studying more about that?
Yeah. So learning about the impact that the food we eat has on our hormones, and that's what it's all about. Like, we are also brought up to think that having super painful cramps and like having all these mood swings and brain fog and headaches is just like part of being a woman, when in actuality all of that happens because of the poor diets that we're brought up on and because of the environment with all these chemicals and antibiotics in the meat and all of that kind of thing. Even cows, like they produce milk, of course, after they have a baby. And that's when their estrogen hormone levels are high. And then we consume that cow estrogen. And then that throws off our hormones. So it's all
interesting.
Once I started learning these things, it's like, okay, I can't unsee what I've seen or like unhear what I've heard. Like it's all here right in front of me. I have to change. And when I would look at these productivity hacks that you see on social media or like read these books, I noticed that it was always men like talking about these hacks, and it was very geared towards men. And then somewhere along the line, I came across someone mentioning cycle syncing and how it's a way to work with your hormonal cycle in a way that allows you to be your most energetic and productive. And it was the first time I like heard about productivity in relation very specifically to women. And I was like, wow, what is this? And that sort of merged with the whole veganism and learning about those health aspects. And it just all started coming together of like, okay, this just makes the most sense. Like whole foods, plant-based diet, certain kinds of exercise at certain times, because you can definitely exercise too much, and that will throw off your hormones too. And I think also I had started to tracking my cycle, tracking along with the moon phases, because even like the moon, it very much relates to our cycle. The moon has 4 phases, our cycle has 4 phases, and they very much like match each other. And even that allowed me to start feeling just more in touch with my body, and I found that I could, like, my intuition was stronger, I just felt more connected, and just the whole concept of sort of fighting the patriarchy and like this whole notion that we need to take pills and be disconnected from our body and all of that. I think that's really the motivation for me, is just to know, like, just to hear the truth of what's going on.
Right. Okay. And so all this stuff has that made your cycle more regular, and you have more of an understanding?
So I had the IUD, the hormonal IUD form of birth control for the past 3 years. And so with that, you don't have a period at all. You have like some other kind of fake hormones pumping into you to keep your body in like a pregnant state, basically, hormonally.
Wow. That doesn't sound
so
healthy.
that you don't ovulate. Because if you don't ovulate, if you don't release an egg, then there's nothing to fertilize.
Makes sense.
So you don't get pregnant. But what they don't tell you is that it is so crucial to our health to ovulate, and that our period is kind of a monthly report card of like how your health is doing. So if your period is regular, if you're not having cramps, if everything's like all good and as it should be, then you're good. But if you're having really painful cramps or really heavy bleeding or mood swings or all that, it's kind of like your check engine light saying like, hey, something's wrong here, something's off.
So the girls that feel really bad during that time of the month, it shouldn't be as bad as it is.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think society kind of perpetuates the idea that it's normal, which is the problem. And you when women try to talk about like, oh, I feel so bad or whatever, it's either like laughed off or like, oh my God, you're just being so hormonal, or you know, like stop complaining or something like that. And then it makes them less likely to go to a doctor and try and get help. And even if they do go to the doctor, sometimes even there you're met with, oh, like their pain isn't taken as seriously.
Yeah, and a doctor that's a guy, how can he really diagnose you properly if he doesn't know how it feels? Wow, that's interesting. Because I know you've done a lot of programs yourself, and you've helped a lot of women in this. What has been the reaction of the feedback? Because is there more girls out there that are unaware that that's an issue?
I think so. I think it's a combination of, wow, this is the first time I'm hearing any of this. Yeah. Or maybe people have heard, but they didn't have the motivation to like fully dive in. And because it's kind of intimidating when you first hear about like, oh, what you're eating and the products in your environment and like how you exercise, it all has an impact on your cycle, and it can feel very overwhelming to be like, oh my God, I have to like change everything in my life now just so I don't have to feel this pain. And then also some people don't want to hear that birth control is bad for them, because it's so easy to just take a pill or to just have an IUD and forget about it and not worry about like, I mean, I guess you kind of should still be using condoms, but things like that. I mean, just not worrying about accidentally getting pregnant. So it is like, I think it's hard to take in at first. So I think some people are kind of put off by it at first. But ultimately, people want to improve their health. So I'm sort of speaking to the people who are ready to hear it and ready to take action on it, which a lot of people are. I'm doing a nutritionist certification. But my focus, like, I read a ton of books and follow a ton of experts more in the hormonal health space, and especially in gut health, because your gut health is like so important when it comes to your hormonal health. So there's a lot that can be done nutritionally to improve your gut health. So that's where my focus is. And for the past few months, I'd done these monthly workshops, free or very cheap workshops, when we could meet in person in Saigon. I was doing those, and that was really fun.
Oh, cool.
And then when we started having more lockdown situation, I did a group program that was online, and it gave them a lot of like material and education about gut health, about how to detox the liver, because that's important too for hormones, and stress management and all those things. So I did that in May for a month, and that was really fun. And I would like to continue if my visa situation lets me continue.
So for the people that are listening or watching, currently right now in Vietnam, when it comes to visa for expats, is becoming very difficult because of the coronavirus situation and other situations. Right now, you are on a work permit with your job, but they've told you that you can't extend unless you go full time.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you want to do, because you have whole other things that are way more important to you.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm on a tourist visa, and we're getting free extension every month, but next month they can just say no, and I have to leave probably in the next 30 days. So I as well don't know what to do. So currently, right now, do you have any plans, or you have made up plans that you might want to go to Mexico if it doesn't work out in Vietnam?
It's so funny. Yesterday, I literally just had like a meltdown. Like, it was just one of those days where I'm like, I'm not going to do anything but lay in my bed and cry and just like, and just think about all the disaster scenarios that could happen. And yeah, it was kind of like, what am I going to do? Like, what can I do in 3 months? Because I'm also, it's really like, it just breaks my heart that I spent pretty much this whole year focusing so hard on building this community and like building sort of getting people to see me and hear my message about this sort of stuff and like making relationships with people, connections. And I was doing that with the intention of to eventually like have a business here as an actual proper coach. And now it's like, nope, maybe not.
No.
So
your intentions were to stay in Saigon long term?
Yeah, at least for another year, because I think while I do love Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh City, I think around 4 years is getting like, okay, I'm starting to get like itchy feet, like I want to go somewhere else and have a new adventure. And also because the dating scene here is like absolutely zero, and I would like to date again.
Okay.
So yeah, I think those factors kind of were getting in the way.
Right. Well, in the last podcast, the girl actually said the same thing, that the dating scene here is ridiculous for girls. Can you explain a little bit more about what you mean?
Yeah, it just means that, I mean, here I haven't yet come across someone that I would consider, I feel weird saying like on my level, but I guess in the past I had really, really low standards and I would just kind of go for whatever. And now that I've worked a lot on my health, my physical health, my mental health, I track what I'm doing every day. I have goals, like I've achieved a lot, and I believe that I deserve to be with someone who is on that level and who is also like into that kind of thing.
They have to be, or it wouldn't work out.
Yeah. So, I mean, not that I have actively even tried dating, because I've just heard so many horror stories that I'm like, I'm not even going to try. It just seems like there's nothing out there to find. And the nice guys that I do meet, because I have a lot of guy friends here who are on that level, but they're all in relationships. So it's like, okay. So I would hope maybe if I go somewhere else, maybe I'll find those.
Cool. But do you think it was easier back in the States?
No.
To date? Oh, okay.
Well, I guess the caveat is that when I was in the States, I was not ready to date either. Like, I was also not the best, like, most dateable person. Like, I was out there, like, just sort of going after getting more validation and, like, ego boost and just going after, like, oh, he's hot, you know? So, like, whatever.
That's what you do when you're young.
Yeah, nothing else mattered. And I think now that I've done the work, you know, like, I've gone to therapy, I've like done all these things, like I read a lot, like I want someone else who has done that work and is ready.
Well, if anybody's listening that can meet those requirements,
can you meet the list of requirements? And vegan.
Vegan. Vegan.
Yeah, or at least like have the mindset of moving towards it, because it took me 5 years to be vegan, so I would be a hypocrite if I said like,
of course,
oh, you have to like be vegan right now.
Yeah. And I guess in Vietnam, when it comes to dating, 70% of the guys are Vietnamese. So the language barrier, 50% of them are cut off.
Yeah.
You can't date someone that can't speak with you.
Yeah.
You can't communicate with. And then the other 30% are expats, which I would say 20% are English teachers, and all they want to do is just teach English and have a good time and party, and that's not what you're chasing.
Right.
So I know exactly what you mean. And so if you had to leave Vietnam, where would you go to?
So after, you know, hearing what everyone else is doing, it seems like a lot of people are going to Mexico because it's similar cost of living, I guess similar culture. I mean, obviously different culture, but like compared to America, like similar. And Yeah, a lot of other expats. I don't like
Well,
the
it's
idea of
nice weather.
Weather, exactly. I don't like the idea of being with a bunch of other like American expats.
Right.
I don't have very many American friends
really?
here even.
Okay.
And I don't know. I feel like I would get bored easily if I didn't have like a very diverse community.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, if you go to Mexico, it would be a bit Americanized. And
Yeah.
it would feel like home again. And you'd be like, might as well just go back home if I'm going to be here. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. I would like to go to Mexico, actually. I think I speak Spanish, so it's my native language. So it would be great to be able to go to a place again where you can hear Spanish. And
I would love to learn, like, I think I would try to learn Spanish.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's your Vietnamese?
No. I did not try to learn. I feel very regretful now that it's been 3 years, and it was always like, oh, next year I'll do it. Next year I'll do it.
Yeah.
And now, like, there maybe is no next year, and I'm like, ah, shit. Should have done it.
I know. It's difficult. And the reality is that after you leave Vietnam, you're going to forget it because it's not a language that's spoken anywhere else. So, but I do try, just at least the basic words I'm sure you've learned.
Yeah.
And people appreciate that here. Okay, so Mexico. What about, you wouldn't want to stay in Asia?
I don't know. Like, I almost feel like this, like, nationalistic pride in Vietnam that I'm like, if it's gonna be Asia, it's gonna be Vietnam.
Right.
Like,
Wow,
I feel so like
Vietnam.
loyal
Yeah,
to this country, like more than America.
Oh my
Weirdly.
God, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's beautiful to hear, though. That's
Yeah.
nice. I think a lot of expats feel that way because it really is the best form of lifestyle that I've ever lived. No doubt.
Exactly.
Everything.
I think, like, I don't know. I feel like a different Asian country, it would be like, oh, this is close, but not enough. So it's almost like I would rather go somewhere just completely different.
Right. Would you continue teaching English? Or how would you finance your travels?
From what I've seen in Mexico, it seems like it's not a similar situation where I think in Mexico, like, you don't make that much money teaching. Like, here in Vietnam, I can live off of my monthly part-time salary, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
And it would not be that way
And
in
it's
Mexico.
comfortable living as well.
Yeah, comfortable living. And so that's what scares me the most. That's the big question for me right now is, like, yeah, I guess really like focusing on building my health coaching business and trying to do that in Mexico. I guess I would probably go to Mexico and I would probably immediately start building my community there, just like finding my people, putting myself out there. I would probably just like put on a free workshop and be like, hey people, I'm here.
I love that.
This is what I'm all about. And just start
Networking.
spreading the word
I love
there.
that. That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that. You see, guys? That's a great example. Because I think a lot of people that are listening, their biggest concern is how are they going to make their money, or is it going to be the same opportunities over there as there are here? And the answer is yes. There's always more opportunities. Like, if you leave your hometown, you're going to get more opportunities. Do you feel just because if you stay where you're from, everyone around you is the same, so the opportunities are actually less than coming out here?
Yeah, for sure. And in America, it kind of feels like there's nothing that hasn't been done before. Like, in America, there's thousands of podcasts, whereas when I came to Vietnam, there were like pretty much none.
Right.
So I could be the first one to sort of bring that. And in America, like, people are already talking about nutrition and health and cycle syncing and all that stuff. Not like that much, but here it's still like brand new kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
I just feel like, yeah, I can be kind of a big fish in a small pond type of thing. Now that I've like successfully left my hometown and started this whole life here, it doesn't seem as daunting or scary to do it again. It's like, it's sad. Like, I don't want to have to do that, and I love my life here, and I don't want to leave. But at the same time, it's like, but I could if I had to, and I won't like crumble. Like my life won't end.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, the more you do it, the more you move, the easier it gets. I agree with you. And now that you've done it here, you realize that the opportunities of making money online as well are there, you know, or as you say, just starting somewhere scratch and building a community. It's all about putting yourself out there, and I think that's a great idea. Like even I should be doing that. As a videographer, I should, as soon as I get to a new city, create a free workshop for anyone that learns how to do videos. And you start networking and meeting new people, and new opportunities come from that. That's beautiful. I'm going to do that.
I would probably start another podcast. I'd be like, all right, creators in Mexico, like, here we go.
Oh my God, yeah.
Just make it worldwide.
Yeah. Well, we should work together.
Yeah.
Seriously, because that's what my podcast is going to be about. People that travel. It's just interviewing people in every different location I go to, because this is why I started this podcast. Exactly like you. I was having good conversations with people, and I felt like, oh man, I wish we were recording this. Like, I wish we can save this. And then now it's always saved. So it's fucking awesome. It's great. It's
going to be so cool to look back in like 10 years and be like, wow.
I know. I'm never going to stop this podcast. I'm always going to do it. And also the people that I've met that listen to my podcast, they continue listening, obviously, because they resonate with me and they're similar to who I am. So you always meet the coolest people. So you guys that are listening, that are watching, that are liking and commenting, thank you so much, seriously. And I hope to meet all of you guys one day, and for everyone to travel and pursue this awesome lifestyle that we're speaking of.
Yes.
So I think that's great, everything that we've heard from you. Where can people find you? Where can people listen to you?
Yes. So if you're interested in hearing about creators, entrepreneurs, and we talk a lot about life, business, relationships, cultural identity is a big topic on our podcast, because we have a lot of people who come from mixed backgrounds and trying to navigate that kind of thing. And mental health we talk about. So any of those topics you can find on the Creators in Saigon podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the apps.
Beautiful.
And me, I guess you can find my Instagram. It's at Dana.Drahos. So I'm sure you'll link that.
Yeah, everything will be down in the description for sure. Okay, and do you have a website, or you have a website?
I do, but it's kind of under construction right now.
Okay. So go to your Instagram, and then people can find out more about that.
Yeah, I'll update on there.
Cool. Well, that's great. I think you have a lot of value to give to the people out there. I never heard about this menstrual cycle stuff, so it's a topic that I guess is not talked about a lot. So I'm sure a lot of girls will hit you about that.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I'm planning on making a resource for guys too.
Right.
So that they can be more informed.
I was going to ask you, like, is there one for us?
Yeah.
Do we have that? Because I heard that guys can also have some type of menstrual cycle that we don't know about. Maybe
I mean a resource for guys in terms of like understanding like if they have, you know, a female partner or colleague or friend, just helping be educated, helping them understand the female hormonal cycle. I'm sure there's plenty to talk about too in terms of male hormones, but I'm not as well versed in that topic.
Not me either. But I think it's good. I think that's great. I think it should be talked about a lot, because maybe guys don't even know about it. You know. I mean, now it's obviously.
I mean, if a lot of women are, I'm 28 and I'm like just finding out about this now. So if a lot of women don't even know,
and I think it has to be something that has to be named consistently, because guys just don't forget. We don't get it, so it's not something that comes to our mind. That's great. Okay, cool. Well, Dana, thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
It was fun.
And I look forward to probably interviewing you somewhere else in the world again.
That'd be so cool.
All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching again, people that travel. We really appreciate every single one of you, and if you have reached the end of this video, please make sure to give us a like, a comment, and let me know what other questions that maybe I didn't ask that would be good to ask in the next podcast for the next person I'll be interviewing. I know that this is a Spanish and English podcast. I have really struggled to find Spanish-speaking people, but I think there will be someone in the next podcast. So if you don't speak any Spanish, I'm sorry, but as you guys know, I just do some Spanish and some English. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for watching. As you've heard, it's all possible. Things are going back to normal in the States. People can travel. If you feel unhappy, if you feel unsatisfied, if you're going to work and just hating your life, and this is all you think about and all you want to do, just do it. You only need $500, $600. As soon as you move, you will make it work. Trust me. There's something about the human body that when it's under pressure, things work out just because you have no choice. I've done it countless of times, and this is another example. It gets easier and easier the more you do it. So this is what this podcast is all about, to motivate you guys to just really take action, stop doubting, because life is short. Until next time, Christian Rodriguez, bye.